So last night I did a gig in Blackpool in a band that I don't normally play in. I got a phone call a few weeks ago from a good friend of mine saying, Kev, we're a guitarist short in our 4-piece band. Do you want to do it? Can you help us out? I said, yeah, absolutely, not a problem at all. So they sent a set list through, which I looked at, which meant I had about 20 plus songs to learn in a short period of time. The set list was mainly classic rock tracks, which, to be honest, I've not played a classic rock set list in donks. In the band that I play in, it's mainly sort of covers, but it's mainly like Spandau Ballet, Simple Minds, Fleetwood Mac and stuff like that. And I've mainly been using Telecasters and Strats, certainly in the past 12 months. So having looked at their set list, I thought, right, what guitar should I use? And I was thinking, my Les Paul Standard Goldtop, I've not used it since January of this year in terms of gigs. And I thought, what a great opportunity just to get that one guitar out, give it a full sort of setup and a bit of TLC, get it on the bench, new strings, and also I got a few little bits and pieces from Gibson to basically mod it slightly, and it's things that I've wanted to do with the guitar for a few years now, which I really needed to do. So it is quite a long video, guys, so please try and watch it if you can, but skip to the chapters within the video for bits that might interest you. And if you've enjoyed it, please think about subscribing because it really helps the channel. So enjoy the video, and at the end of it I'll give you a couple of quick tones. Right, well, welcome to the dining room. This is Michelle's dining room table, so I think I've got to be a little bit careful with stuff. Quick slurp of my brew, which is what it's all about. So first thing we're going to do, guys, is we've got the Goldtop on the table, got a number of things to do. The main thing about this today is really just giving it a good old clean up, and what we are going to do is we're going to do a bit of a string change. So whip all the strings off, and I've had this Boss Jobby Do. I must have had this for about 30 years, have a look at that. And it's still doing the rounds, guys, and it's absolutely spot on. There we go. Just get all these slackened off. So the Les Paul Goldtop, I've not used it since January of this year in terms of gigs and stuff. Most of the gigs I've been doing with the band that I play in is mainly popular music, bit of Spandau Ballet, Simple Minds, bit of Fleetwood Mac, sort of more modern-y kind of stuff. There's a little bit of rock in there, there's a bit of Nile Rodgers and stuff. But to be honest, the Les Paul has been a bit neglected this year. It's got a little bit of dust on it. We've got lock-in tuners on this, guys, with it being a Les Paul Standard. Hence, that's what I'm just doing around the back, just undoing them. And what we have got is an opportunity to use this Les Paul tomorrow night at a gig with a band that I'm depping in, which is called The Deal. And I've done 2 rehearsals with them. I've had a look at the set list, which they sent through. And when I looked at the set list, I thought, this is really good, this, because I like a bit of classic rock. And I don't really get much in the way of playing classic rock in the band that I'm in at the minute. Just pop these over here. Let's get all these out of here. And it's just a nice opportunity to look at getting the Les Paul out, because it's got such a killer tone as this guitar that I'm really looking forward to just getting out there and looking at some really, just playing some really good sort of classic rock with some classic rock vibe, and that's the main thing that I'm looking forward to, really. So when I've been doing the rehearsals, it's been mainly just the guitar and the Laney IRT 60 with the pedal board, which you have seen. And it's only now and then I'm putting some effects on. It's mainly just the guitar and the amp, which is what it's all about, really. So that's the strings off, guys. So that's the strings off. Yeah, so in the set list, there is some Paul Kossoff, which I'm really looking forward to sort of just cracking on with. There's the typical tracks of like Free, there's All Right Now, and there's Wishing Well. There's a bit of Bad Company in there as well. And it all points in the direction to this beautiful Goldtop Les Paul Standard. Right, so the strings are off at the minute, and I'm going to use my Arsonist toolkit. We've got the kitchen roll, we've got the firelighter fluid, and I'm just going to have a little bit of a do at this. So this is for cleaning the fretboard. Never done this before. It's on Monty's Guitars web page. We're going to be using the Monty's Guitars instrument food, which is that there. I don't know whether it's in focus or not. We'll pop it over there. And I thought I'd give this a bit of a go, really. And we'll just see what happens with it. So plonk a bit of this on the fretboard. As Monty says, I imagine it's going to evaporate quite quickly. Got a load of this kitchen stuff in. You're up there, you. Now, what I have to say is this guitar, it's a beautiful guitar, sounds great, and it gets gigged. So it's not a cherished example by any means. The frets are getting worn in places. It plays very, very well, so I'm not bothered about a refret. But it's just a great tonal weapon. I love the fretboard on it. It's such a lovely, lovely dark rosewood colour. Quite often you see sort of Gibsons these days, and they are quite a light colour in terms of the wood that is used on the fretboards. And I've always liked this, and it looks absolutely beautiful. It really does. The actual frets aren't looking too bad, ladies and gents. We'll just get rid of that tissue there. We'll give it another go with that stuff. Let's give it another bit of a go. Now, I have been using over the years, I think it was a product made by Gibson, and there's a little bottle of a fretboard conditioner, and it said Luthier's Choice on it. If anybody remembers that, whether it's still going or not, but I had a bottle of that. It must have been about 20 years I was using it before it eventually ran out a few years ago. And I thought I'll try something different. And I started using the regular kind of lemon-based oils and stuff. And I thought I'll use some of that Monty's guitar stuff. Now, incidentally, the Monty stuff, when it arrives and you look at what the contents are, it's basically beeswax, which has been used in the furniture trade for many, many years. Natural product. And it's absolutely brilliant. Or it should be. Now you can see there's a load of dirt coming off this guys at the minute. You can just see on there, guys, the amount of dirt that's coming off. Now, that's the second clean, that. So, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pause recording for a sec. Right, okay, guys, so just back in the room at the minute. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give the actual guitar a bit of a quick spray off with some of this Kaiser polish. It's an instrument wood cleaning thing, and it's suitable for nitro guitars and that. We've all heard the nightmares of guitars that have had a nitro finish, and you might want to stick Mr. Sheen on it and then it's all gone white or something. Fortunately, I listened to everybody when I was a bit younger and I got my first nitro guitar back in, I think it's 2003, I think it was, got my first Les Paul. Just give that a bit of a clean over there, whip it over onto the headstock. So what I have got, ladies and gents, is I've got some bits and pieces for this guitar which I need to basically sort of put on. And the reason for that is very simple, is because this is a 2012 Les Paul Standard, and it had a few sort of interesting bits and pieces when Gibson went through their bit of bizarre kind of years, if you will, whereby, just do a bit more of this on here. Pop a bit of that on there, and I think it's going to be the last go of it. I'm just going to use a toothbrush this time, guys. Where's my toothbrush? Here we go. Let's have a go at that. And basically, around about that sort of period before I'd have that restructure within the Gibson Corporation, all those years ago, It was a case of, they went a bit odd. Remember the robo tuners and things like that on standards, and yeah, it wasn't really for me. Anyway, around about sort of 2017, 2018, I was looking for a nice Les Paul, and this one popped up at New Kings Road, Vintage Guitar Emporium. I thought, yeah, that looks a nice bit of a thing. Very well established retailer of guitars to the stars. And I thought, do you know what? Let's have a look at that. And I did, and I ended up buying it. And what attracted me to it was, one, it was a Goldtop, which is what I wanted. And basically, it's got 50s wiring in it. It's got 500k CTS ports, new wiring, bare knuckle capacitors, and all the stuff that I really fancied. There's my kitchen roll. There we go. Yes, there we go. And so the wiring was not the printed circuit board stuff that they're doing in the days leading up to the restructure of Gibson. I think it was 2018, I think it was, when it all went back to its roots and quality was increased. Anyway, I bought this 2012 example, and it sounds absolutely amazing. I think it's still got the standard pickups in. I might whip one out and just check exactly what they are, because it might be that at some stage I might do a pickup swap, and that's just one of the things I might just do. So it's had whole new electrics in it by the previous owner. Don't know who that was, but it's a very nice job inside the guitar. And that is looking pretty good. Nice and clean. Okay, so I'm going to stick a bit of Monty's stuff on. Right, so interestingly, the Monty's stuff, so when you get it, guys, that's it there. Hopefully that's in focus. I'm not sure if it will be in focus. Let me have a quick look. You can see it there. That's the Monty's stuff. So basically what it is when you look at the actual sort of the tin, and it doesn't tell you what's inside the tin on the website and stuff, but on the back it says Monty's guitar, and it's got the address on it. There's a scan me code, so you can obviously have a look at his video. And the instructions is to use me, just buff me on, wait 5 minutes, buff me off. And it says basically it's Monty's guitar's instrument food, and it contains beeswax. So, which is, to be honest, it's great, and that's it. Now, luckily enough, my neighbour who lives next door keeps bees, and if you want to have a look at this, I spoke to her a couple of days ago. She gave me this for the video, and there's a honeycomb beeswax jobby-do from her hives from a couple of days back, which is basically what is in that pot there, but I believe it's heated up, melted down. If I just undo this, so if you can see it. Here we go. Let's have a quick look. And that's what you've got in the pot. So you've got beeswax. So the thing now is really just to get a load on. Now you see Monty when he puts it on in his videos, and he gets a great gob of kitchen roll and a great gob of his beeswax, and he puts copious amounts on his fretboards. And now what I do like about this is like anything really, it is a natural product, so it's not going to harm your instrument. And what he also says is, if you get some inside the nut, he says just make sure to leave it there, because that will lubricate your nut and it'll allow your tuning to be stable. And I can't advocate that more, guys, any more than that. I usually use just a little bit of a drop of 3-in-1 oil That does the trick for me on my guitars. Once the strings are bedded in, they're basically in tune. And that's it. Barely go out of tune, even though I do keep checking them at gigs just to see, and there's very little movement. I do quite a bit of string bending at gigs, and generally my strings on my guitars tend to sort of return to pitch, even though I'm continuously sort of checking the things. And yeah, I can't advocate that enough, guys. Yeah, just put some lube in your nuts, guys. You know, that's what it's all about. Lube your nuts. And it's probably one of the best bits of advice I can give you about keeping your guitar in tune. Of course, if you've got locking tuners, you might not need to do that so much, but it's something I do as a matter of course. I think that's looking pretty good, that, guys. So I said leave that for about 5 minutes. I'm just making sure I'm getting it into the corners of each and every fret, really. Which is looking pretty good so far. Now, what it does say, it says that leave it 5 minutes and then buff it off. Now, like everything, like a wax candle, if you're doing this in a cold environment, it's probably not going to get into the wood grain as well as it would do if, say, for example, you're in a heated room. Now, just room temperature, guys, and even the heat from your hands will probably allow it to get to the grain a little bit further than normal. So what I would probably do is stick your finger in. Well, not in the tub, but if you pop that on there like that, and the warmth of your finger is probably going to get into the actual the grain of the wood a bit nicer than just rubbing it on in a cool environment, really. So don't be afraid to get your finger in there, guys. Okay, so we just covered it. It's a 2012 Les Paul Standard. Nothing special about it. It's been modded before I got it. Bare knuckle capacitors, CTS 500K pots. The printed circuit board's been removed. And it sounds great. Now, with it being a Les Paul Standard, there's a couple little bits I want to change. Don't like the knobs. I can't see where these knobs are at a gig because they're like the amber coloured jobby-doos, and the numbers on the actual knobs, they're not painted in any way, so there's a little bit of guesswork. I'm having to max them out or switch it off and then bring it back to where I think it might need to be. But I've always liked the aesthetics of the original Gibson knobs. So what I have got is I've got some Gibson knobs, which are these. Let's have a quick look, see if you can see them. That's the Gibson knobs. And I've got some Gibson nickel pointers as well. And I like the vintage kind of look, so I'm going to put those on. And that's one job. The other job, I've got a blank truss rod cover, which I'm going to put on, which is that there. Never been keen on the word standard on a truss rod cover, to be honest. So I'm going to swap that over. Good thing is I can always swap them back, guys, which is what it's all about. The jack plug plate is, as you can see in the video there at the minute, it's like a chrome steel. They were never like that back in the day, but I'm just trying to get a bit more of the vintage vibe. I know it's not going to be perfect, but it's just something I've been meaning to do for ages. And one thing I'm thinking about, guys, is putting the pick guard back on. And I don't know what your thoughts are. People like Paul Kossoff, on some of his guitars, he had it removed, as did, say, Peter Green. Gary Moore, of course, never played with a pick guard on generally. Now, this guitar has got some really nice sort of check-in. And my son the other day said, "Dad, do you really want to cover up your check-in?" Well, the good thing about this, guys, I can always put it on, take it off, and whatever, you know. So that's up for debate. The other things I'm sort of thinking about is we're changing those today. I did forget to buy a knob for the selector switch there, which I wanted an amber one, a vintage sort of looking kind of vibe is what I wanted again. But in terms of the hardware, it's all chrome this instead of nickel, including the pickup covers and the tuners. So I'm just wondering, should I swap all these over to nickel? Now, I've been having a look around. There's heavily aged items. Or should I just go for a nice sort of nickel, or shall I leave it? But for me, it's just a case of, I love the guitar that much. It sounds so well. I've gigged it a lot, and it's one of those guitars that you couldn't let go really. But I do want to enhance it as well. Mods that I've done is I've got the strap lock buttons on there, which are nickel, which is what I use anyway. I know they don't look period, but it's basically how it is. I'd rather have a secure guitar on a decent strap, so it's not going to go crashing to the floor at a gig. So what we'll do is we'll just whip off the truss rod cover. Get this one out. So we've got 2 screws with this. I'm probably going to use the old screws because I think the old screws are going to look a little bit more tarnished, I think. So I think I'm probably going to go for the old screws. Right, okay, ladies and gents, got bits of stuff everywhere at the minute. Just have that bit of a quick tidy up. Right, so what have we got? So we'll just whip off this. And as I've said, guys, I can very easily refit the truss rod cover in the future, really. So it's probably going to be grubby as anything under there, and yes it is. So that's the one that's come off, guys, and to be honest, they look all right, but it's not really sort of strictly, you know, what the guys had back in the day who inspired me. Like I said, Paul Kossoff, Gary Moore, and all those kind of people. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of a quick sort of spray off on here, bit of a quick tidy up. Incidentally, I've never had to adjust the truss rod cover, sorry, the truss rod on this guitar at all, ever. It's been so good that I've never needed to touch it. So I'm going to pop that on there in a sec. Okay, so we've got the new one, pop that on there now. And over time, that will wear very, very nicely indeed, with string changes and bits of stuff at gigs and things. I'll be quite happy with that. Looks a bit more understated and simpler. And again, of course, this is all subjective. You might like the originality of a Les Paul, the truss rod cover that says standard on it. For me, I quite like the plain truss rod cover on there. There we go, that is on there now, guys. That looks all right, that actually. Quick wipe over. Okay, so I'm going to leave that Monty stuff still on there for the minute. Right, so what I have got, guys, at the minute going on is I'm going to change these knobs because I don't like them. I can't see the numbers at gigs, and I've always liked them with the vintage nickel pointers, the indicators on there. So we're going to have a quick whip off with those. And now I have a quick read online. So when your 0 position is in 0 on all of these knobs, it should be, from what I've read, now I reckon they're around about between 1 o'clock. But online I've read they should be sort of pointing at 2 o'clock in the direction there. So say, for example, if the top end of your neck is horizontal, 90 degrees, and your pointer should be pointing roughly in the direction of 2 p.m. So I'm going to work on that really. Now the knobs, I've already released these to save me the embarrassment of not being able to get them off in the video. But what I did do to get them off was One was finger tight, and the other several needed a little bit of effort. So all I did was just got a bit of a cloth, and I got a 12-inch rule, and I basically just levered it gently, so I'm not attacking the paint on here. Rotate the knob through about 90 degrees, gently lever it again through 90 degrees, gently lever it again through 90 degrees, and then you can actually pull it off. So that's how I did it. You might have your methods, you might have a unique kind of knob extraction tool. But what I'm going to do, guys, is these are here at the minute. So I've got a nice little bit of masking tape. Which I'm just going to plonk on there. Now this might just speed the job up now. I might just cock this up, guys. I might just cock it up completely. So let's get this on here. Now all I'm going to do very quickly is mark these. So hopefully I'll be able to put the new knobs and pointers on pretty quickly, really. And it's just a quick reference, is that. So what I can do is whip those off and get things moving a bit. But what I'm going to do before I do that is going to whip off the back cavity, because I might need to gain access into there at the minute. I've got a bit of a ding there. That's probably from a flailing lead of some sort at a gig. Like I say, guys, this guitar gets used, it gets gigged. And, you know, when you've got such a lovely, lovely instrument, they need to be seen and heard. And they need to be enjoyed rather than just sitting in a case under your bed. And that's what I like. Let's just see if I can rip that off. Okay, guys, while I've got that off, let me just see if you can see inside the cavity. Can you guys see that in there? There we go. So we've got the bare knuckle capacitors, 500k CTS pots, 50s wiring. There's a big plate in there securing it all together. And I think this is what makes this guitar sound so good. So pop that back over there. Right, let's have a do at the first one. So I'm going to pull the knob off. Like I said, cheated, guys. I've already made them loose. So I've got... I'm going to plonk that there. Just going to whip this round here. Just put my finger underneath the control panel, find the pot, so I've got it. So I'm kind of hoping that this won't spin round. And they just need nipping up. They don't need to be probably wound up and secured to an inch of their life. Now what I did do, guys, the other day before I ordered these Gibson parts was I've got a custom shop Les Paul Jr. In my studio, which you've seen on the channel, and it has the lighter gold Gibson knobs with the pointers. And I was thinking, will they fit these CTS pots? And I did a test run, and they did. Right, come on out. There we go. Don't want to go mad with these things. So they did fit. And I've read online, oh yeah, they might fit, they might not. Anyway, so during the dry run, and that's why I've used Gibson Original Parts, and I think it's quite important to do that, is that I know that they're going to fit when I've ordered them, and they're going to look right. Now the thing is with them being sort of the Gibson branded, Gibson made, one, they will fit, but unlike the amber ones that are on there now, they should be sitting off the body a bit more than what these amber ones are doing. So I'm not sure whether these amber ones are actually aftermarket or Gibson from 2012 or whatever. I really don't know. But my son's standard he's got, with the gold knobs, with the pointers, actually sit higher like my custom shop at Les Paul Junior does. So it should look more sort of vintage and easier to use actually when they're higher. I always find them a little bit difficult, unlike my Fenders, to essentially sort of have to sort of delicate sort of tweaking your tone between songs, and that can be a little bit problematic at times. So we'll pop that on there. Right. You don't believe that I was an engineer in my former life. Let's get that thread started. There we go. Right, we're in. Put that around to there. Keeping hold of the pot underneath. Now they will move until you've got them nipped up slightly. And there we go, that's the first one, guys. So what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to bore you to death with all of these, because I'm going to do them sort of pretty quickly, really. So when you've got this sort of zeroed up, pointing at, say, 1 or 2 o'clock, now the internet says 2 o'clock, I think it's more like 1. Let's have a look at that. Let's get that on there. That should be on 0. There we go, and we're on. Pull off the masking tape. And we are there, ladies and gents. Okay, we'll do the others. So what I have done, just while we're at the camera off, is I've put 3 of the control knobs onto the actual guitar at the minute, and I spent a little bit of time in getting the height adjusted correctly from the body of the guitar in terms of the gap between the base of the knob and the surface there. And what I found is that some of these will just basically some will basically just almost sort of not fall on, but there's a little bit of resistance there, and they end up being too close to the body, almost sort of flush, and that's too near that for the look I really want. So what I've had to do, guys, I've had to get a small sort of jeweler's screwdriver, such as this thing here, if you can see that. And what I've done is the potentiometer here is, if you just shove it down the slot at the top, is just usher the top to push out like that a little bit, so it can offer a little bit more resistance on the actual control knob. So we'll just see how we get on with that. And that is feeling pretty good. And if I'm looking at the height now, they are feeling nice and firm. nice and secure, and all the zeros are lining up where I want them to do, or where I want them to be, and it's looking pretty good, guys. So I'm really, really pleased with that. I like the colour, I like the pointers, and I like the height from the body of the guitar. And that to me is looking rather pretty good. Now, the next job we've got to do, guys, is the jack plug socket there. We've got to take that off. So I'm going to do that now. Just get my little screwdriver wherever that's gone. So we've got the screwdriver now. And I've also had a little bit of dinner because Michelle came home and she's made a lovely curry yesterday. So we just had that for dinner. And what I'm going to do now is pop this up here. Rest that there. Let's whip off. Let's just undo those slightly at the minute. Now the back of the guitar is still off at the minute, just in case I need to get to that jack plug socket. Now what I did do the other day, which sort of led to all of this, was I had a bit of crackling on the potentiometers, and I thought that those needed sorting out. They just get a bit dusty over time. It happens quite a bit, guys, so don't worry about it. So I did those the other day. When we did the Rare Amp Rescue video, Norm did all the potentiometers in the Hayden amp we did, and just a little small squirt of WD-40 was all that was needed, really. So I'll just get this on here. Okay, guys, so what we have got here is the Gibson Genuine Parts jack plug plate, if you will, made out of plastic. It's in a cream colour, nothing exciting, but it's a little bit more sort of period than the chrome one we've got, which is very nice, which will never break. But in terms of giving it that sort of oldie school vibe, this is exactly what I want, really. So just going to quick get this out of the bag if I can. Let's get that out. And this is what it's all about, guys. This is what we like mucking about with guitars for, is to make them pleasing to our eyes. Again, it's very subjective and all the rest of it, but the bottom line is, guys, is this is why we do this. So let's just have a quick look. Let's give that a quick clean up under there. Get me spray. That's just dropped on the floor, but never mind. Bit of that under there. Let's have a look. Yes, that looks all right. That pop that back over there for now. Get me lid. Right, let's have a look at this fella then. Right, this is where it all goes wrong now, guys. This is where I have problems in getting the jack plug in. Oh, it's not too bad. Here we are. Now, it's always a good time just to check the wiring, guys, and make sure everything's connected correctly. I had a look at my Telecaster the other day, and that was, being honest, just a bit of a mess. And that, to be honest, is looking pretty good. I'll drop that on there. So let's pop the washer on. Let's pop the washer on again. Get on there, stay on there. Stay on there. Anyway, there we go. So let's get this nut on. Then we can think about the curvature of the plate, really. So that's the wrong way around. That's more like it there. So let's get the screws in. Let's get those in there now. So that's number one in. And again, I'm using the old screws, guys, because I want it to have that sort of used kind of vibe without it looking too pristine. I mean, when I'm sort of playing at gigs, I generally have a black towel on top of my amplifier, a small black hand towel, so nobody can really sort of see it, really. And I'm quite often found to be giving my guitar a quick wipe or my hands a wipe, so I get a little bit damp when I'm playing. and it's more to protect the strings on the guitar, more so than than anything else. There's nothing worse than putting a fresh set of strings on your guitar and you do a quick gig and then they've gone all tarnished and awful. So look at that, that's on there now. Now I'm not tightening them up fully at the minute until they're all in. I don't know whether you can see that there, guys, but that's looking pretty good. Ooh. Let's get you in there. Just going to check the inside. That's all looking pretty good. There's the inside of the guitar, guys. I've got a bit of stuff on there. The guitar cleaner. Just get a bit of that off there at the minute. And that is looking pretty good. Okay, so what we can do now, guys, is look at tightening up the nut. Now if you can get your finger in there, guys, it's always a bit of an idea just to stop that socket from spinning round on the inside of the guitar. Now I checked my Telecast the other day and it had spun round and it had made a bit of a mess of the wiring. It was all like, I mean, to be honest, I've never been in there until sort of recently. That's nicely done, that. And basically I found that there's an extended bit of wire which was not covered or insulated, which was shorting out the guitar. I'm glad I found it because, yeah, it's basically had a misfire. And that's fixed now, so this is spot on. But from time to time, we have to do a little bit of maintenance to our guitars. Again, we're going to keep that because we can always return it back to factory spec if we want to do. So we'll put that back in the little bag of bits it came in. And if the guitar ever got sold for whatever reason, whoever gets the guitar next can return it back to factory spec. And it sort of maintains its sort of value then as well, which is a good thing. Okay, just quick slurping me brew. I think that's looking pretty good, guys. I think it's looking great. So what I'll do, because you've all been looking at the back end of this guitar, so I'm just going to flip it round so you can have a look at this bit. And you can see the truss rod cover now, so I'll just come and have a look at the camera and see what it's showing us. And as you can see at the minute, the truss rod cover I think is looking pretty good. I like it because it's simple and it looks just nice, really. Right, so what we've not done is we've still got the Monty's beeswax on here, so we're going to take that off. Now here it says just give it a nice bit of a buffing up. Which is good. Just going to take off the excess. Now it's been on here for some time as this, really. It says 5 minutes, but in honesty, it's been on here for a couple of hours. It's not going to do it any damage or anything. In fact, hopefully if it soaks in that little bit more than 5 minutes, then it's got to be a good thing, really. So what I'll do is I'll just do that again with a clean part. Right, so what I'm thinking about doing at the minute, and I know that my favourite guitarists and people generally do not have their pick guards on Les Pauls, like Gary Moore, Peter Green. Some of Paul Kossob's guitars didn't have them on. But I'm thinking, what do you think, guys? Should we put it on? Yeah? I can always take it off. It's just something I was thinking about. I quite like them now, quite like the look. So I'll just flip this back round here and then you can see what I'm doing again. Just make sure that we're back in the frame of the camera. There we go. So what we'll do is we'll have a look at that. Now we have to steal a screw from somewhere because I've always been missing a bit of screw on here. Right, where's my screwdriver? Let's try that. Now this guitar came supplied with this fitted. And again, I'm not going to tighten it up too much until we get the one in at the front there. So now what I did was, before I started doing all this, the only screws that are different size really, which are smaller than these, is the truss rod cover. All the others appear to be about the same, which is good. That's nicely turned up. Pop this on here. Now again, that vintage vibe, guys, which is what I really wanted. Doesn't need to be too tight, but just enough is fine. And I think that is looking pretty good, guys. Looking pretty good. Right, so what I want to talk about now, guys, is what is your honest opinion on the chrome hardware in this guitar? Does it suit the guitar? Again, it is a discussion to be had. If I can just show you, I don't know how that looks on the camera at the minute, but we've got the chrome there, chrome there, chrome there, chrome there. We've got the tuners, which are chrome as well. If you look on the back, I'm not happy about the lock-in tuners, the way they look. So I think if I was going to replace those Grovers, I'd be looking at regular kind of Grovers. The more vintage inspired, the better. That's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of nickel. Now, if I did go for nickel, do I just go for nickel as it is? Or do I go for something which looks like the Voz finish that Gibson do to their sort of stuff? Or do I just go for its nice sort of polished nickel? Or do I go for heavily aged? Let me know in the comments what you think, guys. But that's what I'm sort of thinking at the minute, is swapping these, and I'm possibly thinking of swapping the pickups over. So what I'm going to do now is going to try and get one of these out, just see what we've got pickup wise in the bottom of the guitar at the minute. So we'll just pop one of those out while we've got the strings off. Now I have had these pickups, well certainly the neck pickup out before now, just to see what was in there. And they are Gibson pickups, but for the life of me, I can't actually remember what they are. They might be burst bookers or something. I've really no idea, but now is the time just to have a quick look, I think. Let's have a quick look. Now, when I've looked at pickup covers from Gibson, they are quite expensive, and you've got to basically solder them on to the actual pickup itself. And they're not cheap. And I was actually sort of thinking, okay, so just lift that out. And I was actually thinking, is it going to be more cost effective in getting another set of pickups that I've already got the nickel covers, which are more sort of like PAFs, PAFs if you want to call them. But I need to know what's in here first. So let's have a quick look. Gibson USA. Doesn't tell me anything. Okay, so for me to remove that cover, there's a bit of solder there and a bit of solder there. And that means I can replace the covers. Now, I do like the sound of these, but there's a little bit of an opportunity here to actually swap these pickups at some stage if I want to do it. So they are Gibson pickups, but there's nothing on there telling me exactly what these pickups are. So we'll pop that back in there. And what we'll do is we'll just whip out this other one, see if that says anything else, like if there's some bit of information. So what I'll have to do is delve into the Gibson archives and see what was fitted to this guitar back in 2012. And I think there might be burst bookers. That's what I'm thinking. So it might be that. All I might just do in the future, guys, is just swap the covers over to nickel, which is my preferred option, I think. But let me know what your preferred option is. Do I keep them chrome? Do we go for aged? Do we go for... I don't know, really. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. I'll always reply to the comments out there. Just let me know what you think. So let's have a quick look. I've never had this one out in my life. And there's no labels on there, guys, at all. And it just says Gibson USA. And that's all it says. So we don't know anything about these at all, really, until I go to the... So we go for the spec and find out what they are. But anyway, that's that. So we've done that. So we're sort of none the wiser, really. But I will find out what pickups are in this guitar. Excellent. There's always time of the day for a brew. Always time of the day for a brew. Let's pop these back in. And it is a guitar that sounds very, very well. And it always has. And it's always had a nice full tone, a nice top end. And it's just amazing sound, it really is. You put it through that Laney IoT 60 and it sounds absolutely killer. But in the band that I'm playing at the minute, I'm playing mainly Fender, so I'm doing like we're doing stuff like Spandau Ballet Gold, and that's all sort of clean guitar tones, net pickups on Fenders and stuff, which, to be honest, I love to bits, I really do. But I love the sound of this. And if, like I say, this is the guitar to do basically a rock covers gig on. You know, you're sort of the... Whoops, there we go. Bit of a patina there. That's it. Tom Murphy throws bags of spanners, it is, I would imagine, and nuts and bolts and stuff to get that aged effect. I'm just doing it through natural clumsiness and poor technique. So getting back to sort of the set list with the band that I'm using this guitar in tomorrow night. Like I said, we've got some really good sort of classic rock in there. In fact, there's some alternative stuff in there as well, which I do like. There's a bit of pulp in there, Disco 2000. I like playing that track. It's got loads of sort of minor seventh chords in it and stuff. I always like that kind of thing. Nice bit of a vibe. There's a bit of Oasis are in there, which are obviously hugely popular at the minute for obvious reasons. So I'm enjoying all that kind of stuff. And as I say, we're playing stuff tomorrow night, which I don't normally get me chance to play in the band I'm in. The band that I'm playing, we play some really amazing stuff and we play it very, very well. And yeah, all music, as long as it's played and performed right, is great, good music. And there we are, guys. So what I'm going to do now is, rather than bore you to death, I'm going to quickly bung some strings on. And we'll take it from there. So what I'll do is I'll just stop the cameras and I'll pop the strings on, because it's just going to be a quick restring of this beautiful guitar. And we'll see what happens there. We'll see you in a mo. Right, I've decided to film the last string, because I want to talk about the when you do basically a wrap over bridge. And to be honest, this is my preferred choice, because the break angle between that point and that point there is much less than if the string was going to go from that point there straight down into the hole inside the tailpiece there. So I tend to do this. I quite like it, but one thing you need to do is get an old ferrule off a string end, a ball end, whatever you want to call it, which is that there. Hope you can see that. And what we tend to do to make the system work is we put your string in through that hole, that ferrule. So you've got a ferrule there, which is going to double up with a ferrule or ball end on the end of the string. So I don't know whether you can see that there, guys. And that acts as a bit of a stop. So when we put the actual string through the tail piece, and you'll see this in a bit, so we'll just pop that through there. That's it. Pull it through. And hopefully this reduces string breakages. I've been doing it for a few years now, and I'm quite pleased with it myself. So chop that off there. Put this into the tuner. As I said earlier, we've got locking tuners on this guy, so just nip it up at the back there. And what I need to do is basically grab my pliers wherever they've gone. Where have my pliers gone? Had a little bit of a quick tidy up before I pressed record on the thing again. So let's just lift up that end. That's it. And that will allow us to get some turns underneath it. So let's go for that. Bring it over the top. Now if you find doing a Gibson Les Paul is a bit tricky, you want to try doing a Gibson Firebird 7 where the tuners are miles away and they appear to go in the wrong direction. The strings, in terms of where the tuners are, always appear to be reversed, as in the reverse headstock. It's a little bit more tricky than restringing one of these. I feel like tightening up now. Make sure it's in the slot at the back. Okay guys, so if you can see that now, a little bit skew whip on the thing there. I'll just check the camera angle, just make sure that we've got all that. And guys, we're almost sort of ready to go really with tuning the guitar up. So I'll just clear all this lot out of the way. Okie dokie, let's just get these over here. I've got a little bit of blue masking tape just on the headstock there. I did go and do my normal sort of thing of oiling the nut before I put the strings on, and that stops the oil from whizzing about all over the guitar. There's only a light amount of oil there in the nut, but it's amazing where it ends up. So I tend to put this on to stop it from migrating all over the place. Now there is a job we need to do. Is put the panel on the back. Let's have a look at that. Yes, there we go. We are almost there, guys. And we're not far from actually getting me a little screwdriver and going up to the studio and tuning up and making sure that everything works okay. Now, I'm not going to have time to do that today, guys, because I've got to set off to Liverpool in the next hour or two. I've got to get the dog out and do all manner of things before we actually go to Liverpool. Hence, that's why I couldn't do the other gig tonight that I was offered. So we're going to go and see Inside Number 9. And I think it's called Stage Fright. If you like Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith like I do. This dark humour, horror kind of stuff. I'm looking forward to that. And that's why I couldn't do the gig that was offered for me today. I've had those tickets for ages and it's something we've been looking forward to. But I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night's gig, which is why we're doing all this work. It's this beautiful, stunning guitar. Now, what we haven't done, guys, we haven't. There goes that lid again. Let's give the back of the guitar a spray over. I have to say, guys, it's looking pretty good. You know, I was actually thinking the other day, shall I keep this guitar or shall I look at selling it and buying a Les Paul R7 Goldtop, or shall I keep this guitar or what shall I do? And now that I've done these little bits of mods to it, I'm actually thinking, do you know what? I just love it. It sounds great. It plays very, very nicely. I've had it a good few years now, and I've gigged with it quite a lot. So it's almost like a part of me, and you've got a relationship between yourself and your guitar. And this is one of those guitars, like my black Strat. I can just pick up and I know exactly what it's going to sound like. I know how it plays. I'm dialed into it. The guitar's dialed into me. And it's just a great guitar. I'll give this a bit of a quick clean up round here. My thumbprints off it. Okay guys, it's like MasterChef this. So there you go. One Les Paul standard. That's it, Goldtop. I'll do some still images. Headstock's done. Restring, fretboard conditioned with Montes. All the knobs have been changed, which you can sort of see there. I think that's looking pretty good, guys. So, up to the studio and we'll get it tuned up and make sure it works correctly. Bye for now. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and we'll see you very soon. Goodbye.